Here we have a trade review of KHC. This is the Kraft Heinz company, and it popped up on the scanners the end of yesterday, right here. And immediately after taking the first look at it, the easiest thing to see is that it is bouncing here at that 200 SMA. So I felt pretty good about looking at it more and seeing what we could come up with and what could happen. So we're bouncing at the 200, and we look left, and the only like real major area that I noticed, I'll draw it in, was right here. And I say major, but this is really a type of minor support. Um, but it's very good. It's very good. It's what I refer to in my income genesis course as significant minor support. So we see it, this level here, this level here. We see it again. It breaks below it just barely here, and then goes back up, bounces. I mean, it does break it twice, but I mean, it pulled back in the same day and came up, and so we're bouncing kind of at that level, right in and around that level right there. So combine that with the fact that we price was also bouncing at the 200 SMA, and I felt pretty good about this one if it were to trigger, which it did. So let's zoom in and take a look at it. So on this one, we were looking for a break of 38.65. So what that means is up here, I needed to see 38.66 print. And once that printed, I know that the actual candlestick the bar has broken through our trigger. And it did it fairly early. We'll jump into the 1 minute in just a little bit. Did it fairly early. And this one here this one could have caused some headaches, but it could have been, as you can see, it definitely had the chance to be profitable, just depending on your exit strategy. So we triggered, we get in, and as usual, all of that information, this stock was on the watch list the night before. We went over it in the war room and discussed why I put it on the watch list, why it was included, and why I was interested in it as far as like the support and resistance and stuff. And even the trigger and my recommended stop loss was given. So all of that is given before the market opens. All you have to do is decide when to take profit. So, like I said, we've gone over everything so far. We have now entered the trade at this point in our breakdown, and now it becomes when do we exit. Now, I always go over 3 different exit strategies. Does not mean that you have to use these 3. It's just some ideas, just to give you some ideas as to what you might want to do. So the first would be scaling out or exiting completely at a previous area of support or resistance. Now, our trigger here again was at 38. We needed to see 38.66 print. So to me, truthfully, right there would have been the first area to take profit at, right at that 39 level. And you can see if you look up here, the high of this candle was 39.01. So right around that 39 area would have been the first level to either take profit or a good spot to exit completely if you were looking to exit or scale out into previous support or resistance. It never reached that. The high of the day was 38.83. And I know that doesn't sound like much of a move, but when we get into the 1 minute, you'll see what I mean. So as far as scaling out or exiting into previous support resistance, it just didn't happen. And when that happens, when your first level is not met, there are a couple things there's one key thing that you always need to do, and that is to have a solid stop loss set in place. And on this, this is something that I give, that I recommend. And if you did that, you would have ended up just closing the day at the end of the day, or closing your trade at the end of the day, which you can see that would have been like 4 cents. Let's say even if you got some slippage, 7, 8 cents. on your trade is what you would have lost, and that's not. We can live with that. That's how you manage it. Is manage losers is having that good stop loss set in place, not panicking, and then just letting whatever happens happens. Now the other way to exit would be to, or another way to exit, not the other way, but just another way, is to exit or enter the trade when it triggers, and then just close it out and exit the end of the day. Now, this one obviously we would have closed right there, same as what I was just mentioning. The only thing with that one is what I do want to remind you is that it is a good way to catch some big movers, some big runners. It's also a way that you can turn some winners into some losers. However, your average winner will go up in size because from time to time, you'll catch some pretty nice moves. Um, so that is definitely a viable option. I promise you. I know it sounds very laid back and like how in the world could that work, but I promise you that it does. I definitely promise that it does. So let's look at the 1 minute. Now we're gonna let's just pay attention mainly in here. All right, so 38.65. Yeah, broke it in the first minute. You can see right up here, the high in that first minute was 38.66. And it broke it and then kind of teeter-tottered around. It did push up to 38.75. So it pushed up 10 cents before coming back down a little bit and then back up nearly 20 cents. So from a scalping standpoint, that's what the exit strategy we're going over now. That's being in and out fairly quickly. This move here might not have done it for you. However, on a stock like KHC, we're talking about sub $40 stock. And let me remember, let me look at this. So the range on the entire day was only 63 cents. It was only 63 cents, and that was about an average looking day for this stock. So if you capture, you might have been fine with that, of trying to get that 10 cents. But then you could have gotten, 20 cents there potentially, or had the potential to get 20 cents. And that's on a stock like this. That is a really, really big move. When it only moved 63 cents on the day and you were looking to capture 20 cents within the first 14 minutes of the trading day, that is a pretty good trade. Past that point, really, she definitely had options to take profit and to exit. Plenty of time in here to take some profit. But then after that, price continued down. And if you were, scalping in the traditional sense where you got large size and you're looking for a smaller move, you probably would have been stopped out here. And I hope that you would have been practicing good stop loss and risk management. However, if you had used the stop loss that I recommend, your position size would have been smaller, which means your buying power would have been smaller. But on the downside, it also means your profit would have been smaller. But the good thing about it is that your risk is clearly defined. You know that if things go completely 100% against you, you know exactly how much you're going to lose. And you could have used that. And if you didn't exit up in here, basically you would have done the same thing as the others because the stop never got triggered and it closed, 4 cents below our trigger price. So from a scalping standpoint, there were two primary areas to take profit. The first one on this spike up here, the second one up here. But then you had all this in here where it's still profitable, and you could have taken off the trade at any time during this time. So that is just about it for this trade review. Again, the main thing, noticing, when it came up on the scanners, the first thing we do is we see, does it meet the criteria? And I forgot to mention it. This was a valley to river setup. It was a valley to river. So when I saw it, I knew that valid. It just means basically that I can begin looking at the trade more for support resistance. It really helps me narrow down my watch list, being able to do it that way. And so once it popped up on the scanner, saw it was Valley River, and then looked left, and I can see this area of support and resistance right here. And this, I say support and resistance because it was resistance over here. It's kind of support right here, resistance through here, and now we're trying to use it as support. So this was just a significant area of support and resistance. Saw that, we got the trigger set, entered it, and it's really that easy. You just have to decide when you want to exit the trade, how you want to take profit. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and God bless.